You're listening to Mentoring Developers. Your first job as a software engineer. Because we need to know, because imagine that I am somebody who's done everything right. Now I have some skills. Now I'm like, I need to get a job. What do I do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in my case, there are two different type of jobs, right? So when you say first job, my first thing is my first contracting job, and then my first real job. So in my case, I do quite a bit of consulting. I started pretty much building websites for other people when I was in college. And I was able to do that in addition to some other duties where I was able to do it full time for about 6 or 7 years before I decided, hey, maybe it's time for me to become to move into something else. Maybe it's time for me to kind of see what it's like working for another person. So good example of that is just, doing your work and meeting people and letting them know what you do, and I think that's a great, if I had to give that advice to someone just starting off, that's a great way for you to level up your skills. It's one thing you sit down and you get an idea for something, and so you create it. And so you share it with some friends. And then who knows, someone else's mom or dad or someone else has a small business. They say, hey, can you do that for me? You say, sure. You do a little research, you get an idea of maybe what you need to charge, and you set up a relationship with them. And next thing you know, maybe they're paying you monthly to do that. And all the while this is happening, if you're taking that work and maybe you create your own site and you put it on your portfolio, you're going out meeting other people and say, hey, I just built this website for this construction company. Oh, that's great. I have a friend who needs that. And next thing you know, the ball gets rolling. And, especially if you're out there networking and definitely getting, especially if you're meeting people who are outside of the tech industry, you'll see that people really need your skills, and then that'll snowball and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what happened with me. And it snowballed so much so that I ended up contracting for Microsoft, for MSN for a while, and then doing work with Nike. And I really started doing a lot of work within the sports industry. If you can believe it, there's not a whole lot of software engineers or just IT people with an IT background at all in the sports industry. And that's what I did for a number of years. As far as my the job that I have now, I happened to meet our vice president of engineering while I was out in Chicago, and we met. He told me about his company, and I kind of told him what I was looking to do. And he said, "Hey, have you thought about maybe coming back to Columbus? I had family here." And I said, "Yeah, I definitely entertain it." And one thing led to another, and I've been here in Columbus for coming up on about a year and a half now.
Yeah, so there's several points that you made that are excellent points. One of them is that this is one of the few industries in the world that the power is within you. You don't need a job. If you're a web developer or you want to be a web developer, you can make a website very cheap or even free and tell people what you can do. If you are an app developer, for example, you could certainly build an app for the iPhone or the Android or any of the other ecosystems. You can show people what you have with a very simple set of tools, usually just a computer and maybe some software, and you're not bound by your location. If you are in a place where there are no jobs, move where there are jobs. You have to be flexible in order to create that opportunity for yourself. But it's a very good way to start. If you are starting out, you're thinking about starting a career, don't wait for somebody to give you a job. Start working, start outputting things. And when you do go out there and talk to people, they will have something to look at as proof of your work. I think those are excellent points.
Yeah, I couldn't agree, more. You have to create products. You have to create products. You have to create apps. You have to create websites. And, if you put your work out there, people will definitely respond to it. If they like it, you'll know. And if they don't like it, you'll hear that too.